Today I will speak about one of the most important bands of power metal of the 90s, or let's say in the middle of the 90s, and I'm speaking about Hammerfall from Sweden. Let's say some things. First of all, let's say that in the 90s, in the beginning of the 90s, in the United States, we had great bands from thrash and death metal. But afterwards, in the United States, we had grunge, we had alternative rock, or alternative metal, or groove metal bands like Pantera, like Machine Head. But in Europe was another different thing. In Europe, in the beginning of the 90s, we had a very big success of the black metal, of the Norwegian and Scandinavian black metal. Together with that, we had a big success of power metal in Europe, especially the Euro power metal. Bands like Halloween, that they continue the way of Halloween, for example, Blind Guardian, Gamma Ray, in these years, Stratovarius. And in the last years of the 90s, we had another big second wave of power metal in Europe, that in these years they called it as the true heavy metal genre, or the second coming of the true heavy metal genre. And this style of metal started because of bands as Hammerfall. So in these years, Hammerfall, they started in 1997 they started with their first debut album, Glory to the Brave, but also we had other bands, common bands. For example, we had Primal Fear from Germany. We had also Rhapsody from Italy with their album Legendary Tales. Afterwards, they became Rhapsody of Fire. We had also bands as Metallium from Germany, or Sacred Steel, also from Germany, or Pegasus from Australia. All these bands they were in the same way of true heavy metal. In reality, they were even more a second wave, maybe a little bit more straight second wave of European power metal. Now, Hammerfall, they started in reality in 1993, some years even before, but they were a project, like a side project of the ex-ceremonial oath guitarist Oscar Drontkang, and together with Jesper Strompland from In Flames. In these years, he played the drums. And they are from Sweden, and they are from Gothenburg. Yes, from the same city that is the capital of the new wave of melodic death metal. So for this reason, also in Hammerfall, we can find people in the first days that they played from In Flames, from Dark Tranquility. Okay. Only in 1996 they went to they made let's say a concert as in the rock by the name Rockslaget, and in this and they succeed to won a prize, and they became a band as we know them. So in this also in this concert for the beginning they made they took the singer Joachim Kanz, because in the 1993 they had another singer, and Joachim Kanz he became a famous singer because of Hammerfall. Also they made a mascot of the band by the Greek ancient name Hector. He's like a Templar, let's say a knight. And in the beginning, they had some problems with. It was a funny story between them and between Amon Amarth, also from Sweden. If I'm not sure, in the second album of Amon Amarth, they had a song that it was a little bit. They spoke a little bit. They made jokes about Hammerfall, if I'm not sure. And unfortunately, the whole situation is that Hammerfall became so famous from one hand, but so a band that many metalheads unfortunately hate them only because of jealousy. Okay, I can understand that someone maybe does like their music, but to hate them, and it became even worse in 2002 when Joachim Gans, the singer of the band, he was in a rock bar with his girlfriend, and someone that he didn't know came and he cut his head with a bottle, and afterwards he had to make a plastic surgery. So problematic situation. Now let's here to speak about their 11 until now studio albums. But before of that, I will say that there is a great also album of the singer Joachim Kanz that he made another band by the name Kanz, and this is his album. I think that with his band, he made only one album, if I'm not sure, Beyond the Gates. This album came out in 2004. Someone that he likes Hammerfall, he has to like also this band. Here he plays a little bit more straight heavy metal with power metal influences of Hammerfall and a little bit even more darker. A great album. If someone likes it, loves Hammerfall, he has to find also this band if he doesn't know them. So let's start. In the 11th place for me comes their fourth album of 2002, and I'm speaking about the album Crimson Thunder. For me, in this album, they became a little bit more the same all the way around. Yes. Also, in this album is a little bit more poppies, more pop, more Eurovision power metal style. Here they had also a very big a song that was so famous afterwards, Hearts on Fire. Okay. Now, in the 10th place for me comes their 7th album of 2009, No Sacrifice, No Victory. Also, another sympathetic album, but only that, not something more than this. Also, here they played a cover of a pop song, My Sharona. In the 9th place, their 10th album of 2016, and speaking about the album Built to Last. Okay, here the album is even more sympathetic. Here they had some good songs, for example, Second to None, New Breed, Built to Last, Hammer High. Okay, I liked it a lot. Now, in the 8th place, their 9th album of 2014, the album of the return, and I will speak why I'm saying it as the return. Speak about the album Evolution, Revolution, say that in the way that you want. Here, many fans of the band liked this album very much because an album before that, in their 8th album, with the album Infected, Hammerfall became a little bit something different. Okay, they made a totally different style of music, they became even more darker. They became even more straight heavy metal, and many people didn't like this change. So in this one album afterwards, Hammerfall come back to their roots, and for this reason many people liked this album. Now, seventh place, their fifth album, Chapter 5, also known by the title Unbent, Unbroken. Also a sympathetic album, a little bit, this here the songs, they are a little bit more mid-temp, more melodical, but also a nice sympathetic Hammerfall album. Now, sixth place, their last album until now, their 11th album of them of 2019, Dominion. Okay, also a sympathetic album. Here we have also songs as Dominion, Testify, Second to One, something special in in the album Built to Last. They had Second to None. Here, Second to One. Okay, very close, very their songs, the titles of the songs, they are very close to each other. Okay, but also another Dead by Dawn, another sympathetic band album of them. And then continue with their fifth album, with their in the fifth place, their sixth album, okay, Threshold of 2006. Also an album that I liked it much. And now something that many people that they like Hammerfall, maybe they will not understand, they will not agree with me, but in the fourth place for me comes their eighth album of 2011. Yes, and I'm speaking about the album Infected. Yes, I said before that in this album here we can find that Hammerfall, they are even more straight heavy metal, less power metal, even more darker, also in their music and also in their style, in their words. But I liked this so much, and unfortunately for me that they decided to come back to the roots with the revolution and afterwards, and they didn't continue in this way. Yes, I'm saying that. Also, it's the first album without their mascot Hector in the cover art, the outside cover art. If you will open the disc, you will find also Hector here, a little bit different, but he's also here. And unfortunately, they didn't continue in this way. Now, in the third place, their second album of 1998, and to speak about the album Legacy of Kings. Here they play, this is, let's say, Glory to the Brave Part 2, number 2. Okay? Not that it's something bad, but this is the reality. Sympathetic album, great album, I liked it a lot. Okay, the problem is that some two albums afterwards, they became even more the same and the same and the same. Now, in the second place, their third album, Renegade of 2000, in the beginning of the millennium. And yes, I prefer this album a little bit even more from Legacy of Kings. Here also we have great songs, Templars of Steel, for example, The Way of the Warrior, great songs. And I say that I prefer it even more from Legacy of Kings. After this album, for me, started the whole problem about Hammerfall. And of course, in the first place, and here I think that most of us we will agree, comes their debut first album of 1997, Glory to the Brave. Here, every song is totally great. For example, The Dragon Lies Bleeding, The Metal Aids, Hammerfall, Let the Hammer Fall, Let's Hammer Fall, Steel Meets Steel, Stone Cold, and etc. etc. Also, they made a great cover of the song Child of the Damned. This is a song of the great American lyric heavy power epic metal band Warlord. In a situation that some people they didn't know Warlord, they thought that this song Child of the Damned is a Hammerfall song, but it's not. And not only that, Warlord in their third album, I think they brought Joachim Kanz to be their singer in this third album of them. And also, for me, this is one of the greatest albums of the whole, let's say, metal scene of the 90s. So, from Israel and from Jerusalem, stay metal and stay heavy.